Welcome to another day in the Matrix. This will be Red Pill episode number 22, lucky number 22. And if it is the morning time, go ahead, grab yourself a coffee, tea, or if it's the nighttime, go ahead, grab yourself a glass of wine or a beer or a beverage of your choice. And let's just kick back and relax. It's Saturday. I'm chilling. I hope you guys are chilling. It's a good time. And let's just jump right into it. So we have a couple altcoins to be going over today. I'm looking to get to Bitcoin Cash, Monero, Harmony One, Engine, Algorand, Digibyte, and also Crypto.com token. And we'll also be going, of course, over Bitcoin and XRP. Now, we've had quite an interesting week. It's pretty much been sideways across the board if we look at everything from just how last week went. Past the full moon energy, and now we are entering what is the new moon energy of September. Again, for those of you that are newer to the work, we've been using the lunar cycle to be able to determine microcycle highs and microcycle lows. And let's just do a quick recap of what we've seen go on. So I'm going to scroll in a little bit deeper. I'm going to turn off the drawings and I'm going to turn on the moon phases. And we can see that we actually did get our microcycle low on the 19th of August, which goes back 58 days to a low of June 22nd, which is the lowest low that we've gotten so far in our microcycle. So this is obviously a very important data point going from this bottom price right here over to 58 days. And we are getting what is approximately about 3 days before the end of what is the transition into the new moon. So if we go off of the actual full moon, new moon cycle, it is continuing to work time and time again. Of course, I've mentioned that we were not going to have a bearish August. I mentioned very, very confidently back in July that we should anticipate essentially an entire month of green across the board with tiny little pullbacks along the way. So right now we are currently in our position to be seeing bullish price action leading into the end of the month. And that's not only from a technical perspective, but it's from a perspective of utilizing the moon cycles. So when this flips green, it is because we have surpassed a full moon, which we did on I believe it was the 22nd of August. Was it? Let's double check that with our handy dandy moon phases calendar. So that was a full moon on the 22nd. Beautiful. And what we saw was our lows come in about 3 days before that. And this plays out perfectly to our 58-day bottom cycle. Now, there was a slight anticipation for perhaps utilizing this little dip right here on the 26th, but again, it is more strong if you measure from the microcycle lows. So that would mean, for instance, that dip right there. Let's go over 58 days and see where that brings us. Boom, perfectly to that bottom wick on the 5th of August, which was the low in that cycle. And we could keep doing this over and over again. So if I take from here the July 20th low and I go over 58 days, that brings us to the 16th of September. And I told you guys about this date last week, how to be more focused on bigger pullbacks in the month of September and to look at August as an entire bullish month. And this is so far played itself out very nicely. Now we just have to see how September goes. And if we are for some reason bullish for the entire month of September, for some weird reason, I wouldn't mind being wrong, because at the end of the day, I'm just a technical analyst. I'm looking back at previous data in the charts, and I'm just providing that to people. We're using some more esoteric principles to be able to determine some of these extra things that are going on. But for the most part, at the end of the day, we just have to take what the market gives us. And I think that'll be the big lesson here, because we've had issues in YouTube land where people are so impatient. And I remember reading some people's comments. And again, I try not to give too much energy to this stuff, but I do so just to be able to see where the market is at. Because remember, it's the average person's mentality and mind state which will give the projection of what is going on. For things like fear and greed, for instance, it's the retail investor's sentiment that I like to keep track of to be able to determine what's going on in the market. And I remember hearing people near a couple days ago just being like, oh, well, we're not getting the relief rally into the end of the month, and why isn't it going up? And it's just like, wow. The patience becomes so lacking when we have bullish price action more than when we have bearish price action. When the price action is bearish, retail investors will start to just claw and cry and bitch and moan until they're essentially driving themselves away from the market. And the more sophisticated investor is utilizing those times to essentially take note of what the retail investor is experiencing emotionally, and you go the opposite direction. Now, I've been saying this because I think it's very important. When we transition into the month of September, you're going to see a completely different sentiment change across the popular YouTube channels across the board. You're going to be seeing people, because we didn't make new all-time highs, they're going to be calling this a dead cat bounce. They're going to be saying that the bull run's over, that the high that we got on the 23rd or whatever was it. That's it. It's not going to go any higher. And here in this community, you're hearing me month by month call these shots where I said, expect our lows in the July full moon, check. Expect bullish relief rally through the whole month of August and Bitcoin to hit 50K. Check. I said anticipate a pullback into September. Now we're going to wait on that. So my last YouTube video, I was very interested in the date of September 1st, and the date of September 1st, I provided all that information in that video. Go ahead, check that out if you haven't already. Of course, this is the red pill episode, so we're going to be focused on different things. But for the most part, I just want people to understand, I want people to understand that we will most likely move up into September 1st or September 2nd and then have a noticeable pullback. And in today's video, I do want to reiterate where I think that level will be. But I do believe that downtrend will last from the 2nd of September or the 3rd of September. It doesn't really matter, give or take a day or two. And it will continue into lows into the 16th of September. So that's what I'm most interested in. Then if we take this low right here of August 5th and we measure out 58 days, and of course, we could also utilize 56 days, because the initial Patreon video that I made was talking about the 56 to 58 day bottoms. It's a range, and that's, within a day or so of accuracy, so it doesn't really matter. But what this shows me is that August 2nd is another potential pullback day. So I'm going to draw out something, and then I want everyone to just pause the video, and then I want to revisit this in a couple months so we could see the play-by-play. Okay, so this is the little exercise we're going to do. I'm going to go over to this chart really quick. And in this chart, you're going to see that we have a weekly chart open. This is the logarithmic Bitcoin log growth curve chart. So right here, you can see that this green line, that right there is sitting at $41,300. Then on top of that, we have this orange moving average, which is at 42,000 on the nose. Now, after this weekly close, that is going to move up slightly, but let's just say, for a practice, we will possibly move down into the $41,300 area, the $41,500 area on the next pullback of September. So let's go ahead and X marks the spot, okay? And let's just have fun with this, because again, this is more experimental technical analysis, but I think this is the kind of stuff that's really gonna it's gonna prove what's going on here. And it's not because I am doing it. It's not like I have any magical powers. It's because I'm just showing you what happens time and time again in cryptocurrency. So right here, I'm sitting on the 16th. I'm going to draw a little circle. Okay. And then what I drew that around was 41,000. Now, what we could see is something like this, where Bitcoin tops out into early September and then pulls down, has a correction into this area right here. Then it starts to recover slightly. And then what we see is right around October 2nd, boom, quick pullback. And that pullback will make a higher low. So it won't go lower than the pullback that we got in September. Now, this is technical, but could we double bottom and create a W breakout like this? Boom, 2 Vs that perfectly come back to the same level? Absolutely. And right here is where it goes crazy. So by the end of the month of October, we should be seeing new all-time highs. Now, this is most likely what's going to happen, okay? Now, where this little jump up near the beginning of October comes up to, it would naturally make sense to be around the 0.5 fib. That'd be a very technical level. And the reason that would also make sense is because that would come into about a resistance level of previous support. So this tells me that we could have a last minute W pattern breakout where once we break that neckline right here into mid-October, excuse me, that is where it's the last time to get cheap Bitcoin. Okay. So what we could see is pull back in early September to around 41,000, 42,000 ish. Then we have a little relief. Then we come back down in early October. Remember, because we measured that there should be another pullback into right around this date. And let me show you that measured about right here. So precisely right there. If I had to be perfect with my drawing, I should actually do another. Let me do this one more time. So I'm going to go to the 2nd of October and I'm going to draw another little circle. So something like this. We move up into the 1st, 2nd of September, make a new high, slightly new high, maybe 51,000 Bitcoin is all we go on the 1st or 2nd of September. Then we pull back into this range, little relief, secondary pullback into early October, and then it's just boom, it's just blast off. Okay. That time frame right there is going to be very confusing because everyone who is thinking that this was a dead cat bounce is going to be left on the sidelines, missing out on the greatest wealth transfer that they possibly could have gotten in. And this moment right here in Wyckoff method, that is really special. That's a really special LPS, last point of support. Okay. So just pause this, save on your calendar, potentially the September 16th around 41,000. Then you have October 2nd around 41,000. And let's just set it and forget it. From now on, for the rest of time, we're going to be focused on whatever the chart gives us. But so far, this type of analysis, I believe, will come to fruition. And let's just visit previous bull runs and see what happened. So we can see into this time frame right here. We actually moved up very nicely in October, and we didn't have any huge pullbacks. But where I want to go real quick is the 2013 bull run. This is really interesting stuff. So you see right here, this is actually what we are mimicking more than the 2017 bull run. And the reason why is because we had new all-time highs in April. Then we had a big pullback bottom into July. Then we had a relief rally of August into early September, followed by a pullback. And then look at this. Right on October 2nd, we had another noticeable quick pullback. And that was a big, massive one-day event. And you see where the level pretty much came down to, disregarding the wick. Now, remember, in 2013, there was no altcoins. It was the Bitcoin show. So a lot of liquidity, all the liquidity that was in crypto was in this single asset. So it is very volatile back then. Again, it was trading at $100. So what I'm anticipating is not necessarily a newer low into October, but it's possible because anything's possible in the matrix. And then you see into the second week of October, we make new highs right here. That was our previous high, and then it comes in. So there was new microcycle highs into the middle of October, and then basically by November, we started going parabolic. And the price just goes in a straight line to where it ended up being the all-time high. Now, let's look at that pullback in September and then average of the pullback that we got in October, and look at the gains, okay? It went up an additional almost 1,000%. It went up an additional 930%. Now, will that happen again? No, I do not believe it will happen like that. But actually, let's measure how many days in between, because this is really fascinating. I think I just found something out. Holy shit. Okay. Look at that. The all-time high came in 58 days after the pullback. Wow, that's fascinating. Okay, so again, I see the all-time high for Bitcoin coming in around December 4th. And the reason why is because that is the new moon of December. And that's typically when Bitcoin likes to hit those new highs, is around the December new moon. And you could see that this December new moon is actually the same new moon date that we'll be getting this year. So there's so many similarities to the 2013 cycle. And this is just so fascinating, right? So you see there's the new moon right there is on December 3rd, December 4th, basically of 2013. And then if you look right here, this is the new moon of 2021. It will be December 4th. It is exact replica. And this moves through Saturnalia, which I've told you guys about before. And I also feel, and this is me getting really ahead of myself, but I'll be focusing on this more when the time comes. I believe that January of 2022, the new moon, we will have the final bull trap end of the bull run. You could see that right here. You see this rally? How Bitcoin, once it hit new all-time highs, it essentially pulls back pretty dramatically. And then after it pulls back pretty dramatically, about 60%, you pull the fibs. And then right when you retest the golden pocket, you need to get out of crypto. 100% of cryptos. As this happens for Bitcoin, get out of Bitcoin, and then we're going to have a massive alt season. This is where you need to start paying attention to altcoins during this right here, this final bull trap. Okay? So this is where all of your energy and attention, like you don't go to work for a whole week during this week. Like you're going to be thanking me for this advice. Okay. During basically all of January, if you could call off everything that's going on for you, that's the wealth transfer. Now, that's going to be the time that we need to focus the most, because I know for a fact most people in this community are not heavy Bitcoin holders, and anyone who's getting into Bitcoin now around this final moment when we go back to 41,000, 42,000, that's it. Bitcoin's probably never going below that ever again. So if you want to get in on Bitcoin, which I'm personally a heavy Bitcoin holder, I've been in Bitcoin since $7,000. That's my average entry point. I am going to definitely be taking profits near the end of this bull run, but I am also aware that it doesn't have the most ROI. Like Bitcoin and Ethereum are not going to have as much ROI as they used to have in the previous cycle. That's just obvious. As a coin becomes more popular, there's diminishing returns. And by popular, I just mean the market cap increasing. The higher the market cap is because there's more players in the game. So this whole pattern, I believe, will literally repeat itself to the T. And this is how bull runs end. You have a parabola, which has a blow off top, followed by a very sharp, quick pullback, then a move up and relief rally rejection into the golden pocket Fibonacci, and that is the end. Call it the end. You could hold a little bit longer if you want, but all you're doing is holding into a downtrend, because that's all that comes is a downtrend. And you could see that. So now that we've went over all those things, it's just to preface, again, we have over 1,000 people in this community now, so it's great to be able to make a red pill episode where I could break down all of this stuff and know that I'm being able to touch so many people's ears and be able to fulfill so many, hopefully fulfill so many people's unanswered questions of what I believe will happen for the rest of this run. I've had a lot of people who've had skepticism about how this cycle will not be the same as previous cycles. And I mean, how much more perfect have we been mimicking the 2013 bull run? We can't show much more perfect. I mean, if especially we get that pullback into September with higher lows, meaning nothing lower than 37,000 ever again, if that all comes to fruition, then nobody can argue this anymore. It just is what it is. And I think that's part of being a newer investor is sometimes people overthink shit. They just get so consumed by this idea that things need to be different. They need to be complicated, but they don't. That's actually been kind of the claim to fame with my work is not overcomplicating things. I will focus on Gematria Numerology and Astrology when I need to. But I'm not just sitting out here making videos every day talking about the code unless it has utility, unless there's a way of applying it to what could happen. That's all I care about. I mean, I'm not here to be confusing the hell out of people and getting them all focused on 30,000 things at once. I want people to streamline their I want to streamline my educational process so that I could be able to actually help people. You know, I have over a decade worth of educational experience in terms of being a traveling trainer. I've trained for every single job I've ever had. And in that time, I've worked with tens of thousands of people. So even training general managers. So I have the ability to train people who are basically at CEO level where they don't have the time. You need to take what you would normally apply with an employee over a, let's just say, 30-hour training schedule, and you need to be able to basically be able to compile it into a 3 or 4 hour session. And that's what I have experience in. So if there's times where I seem like I'm oversimplifying things, or I'm bringing up a thing that might seem like too good to be true because it's too easy, it's just because I understand that that's actually how life works. Life is not complicated. People are not complicated. One of the wisest things I ever learned from one of the closest and most, how can I say this? One of the most spiritually inclined and brilliant people I've ever met was this basic quote. He said that people are not complicated. And I thought to myself, I'm like, what do you mean, man? Like, a human emotion is so, it seems so complex, but actually when you learn the basics, of what it is to be a human, you learn that it's all about emotions. Humans are essentially skeletons with emotion. That's all we are. And the most, enlightened individuals are people that are just better at deprogramming. But that's all this experience really is. It's a process of being programmed or a process of deprogramming. And if you're able to deprogram, you could actually redo the program to be in an algorithm or a format that is most conducive to your vibrational frequency. And that's all I've tried to do, to be able to come up with a strategy and a consistent strategy to not overthink this. Because when I first got into crypto, I was really surprised how complicated the average TA expert, quote unquote, made this process. They definitely made it way harder than it needed to be. And if they would have just focused on the cycle, how the cycle works and how the cycle operates, they would have actually been able to save a lot more people from becoming emotionally distraught whenever these big pumps happen or these big dumps happen. And I hope that during this pump of August, I've calmed people down enough to be able to see through what's truly going on here, which is essentially Bitcoin is running on an algorithm based off of the halving. The halving event is the reason why all of these cryptos that everyone owns does what they do. Period. The end of story. Bitcoin is the reason that all of these other coins are doing what they do. So that's something that people it's a red pill that people need to swallow. Love or hate Bitcoin, it's because of the halving cycle that we have alt seasons. The end. So people who are so such haters of, I don't get it. To me, I just don't get it because I don't have any emotional connection to any of this stuff anymore. It just is what it is. I look at it from a completely different perspective. I don't have any good to say about crypto because at the end of the day, I understand what the final solution is. A blockchain-based, basically slavery economy where everything is tracked and traced and everything is taxed and everything is basically controlled by a central entity called a government. That's really the future of blockchain technology and cryptocurrency. And right now we're at the early stages where we could essentially just profit handsomely from it before it becomes this draconian final solution. So again, we need to look at it for what it is ultimately. At this time, it is all about making money or losing money. That's really all crypto is. It's what the dot-com bubble used to be. It's what basically tech stocks used to be. And now today they've lost their speculation. We know which companies are on top and we know which companies are ghost companies. And in that event, we've still learned the fraudulent nature of the whole process. If you study how much money the Federal Reserve gives to the stock market on a weekly basis, it would blow your mind. There's companies that have literally rock bottom earnings reports and they're still making new all-time highs. It's insane. So once you learn the fiat scam and what's actually going on in this whole realm of investing, you understand why it is here to stay, because it is a way that the smartest, most sophisticated people can continue to stay the richest. It's not designed for poor people because poor people have poor mindsets. And when I say poor, you can literally be poor financially and still be extremely wealthy from cryptocurrency just because you have a abundant mindset, because you have intellect, you have higher states of consciousness. You could have taken $100 and put it in Cardano in March of 2020, and you could have done insane with that amount of money. But the average poor person takes their $100 and they have a weekly allowance of buying Starbucks. Then they have a Netflix account, Amazon Prime account. They have all this shit that they do that is liabilities. But let's go back to Cardano just for a second in this example of taking $100 and putting it in Cardano. It's like, it's mind blowing. Let's just go from this average right here of 2 cents. I'll be generous. I'll do divided by 3 cents. Okay. That's a good number. And if you sold it today, you could have taken $100 and turned it into almost 10K. Okay. And this would have been past the 366 days of taxes and long-term capital gains. So you would have been in the lower tax bracket for this play. And this isn't even the end of the bull run. You could have just held this longer, and we might see Cardano go into $6, $7, $8. Okay. So you could have taken $100 and turned it into, 5 digits, 6 digits. That's damn impressive. You know what I'm saying? So that is what rich people do. Rich people don't necessarily have bucket loads of money. They just make decisions that are smarter, that are more well thought out, that are better executed. And they do that over and over and over and over again for their whole lives. And they amass a large quantity of wealth while they do that. So again, this episode might be a little longer than usual, but it's just because I feel like these are the types of things that need to be spoken about that I don't hear being spoken about. And in that, I hope that everyone has gained something from these ideas that I've shared in the last 20 minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to delete this all off my screen. Again, like I said, it would be great if you guys can take a screen cap and just, this isn't to hold me accountable necessarily, but it's just to give a little bit of a looking glass into what's potentially possible in the future for Bitcoin over the next couple months. Basically, I think that by November, we will see Bitcoin catch up with stock to flow model. So we have stock to flow right here. And it shows us that around November, we should be at around 80,000. And that wouldn't be much different than what we've seen in the past right here. When you see in October, the previous bull run caught up with stock to flow. Around late October, it got up with this line right here. So 80,000 before December is obviously possible. If I'm saying that I believe by December 4th, we'll see $144,000 Bitcoin. We could see even higher, of course, but I like to play conservatively. And that is where the top of the logarithmic growth curve chart sits on that date, around 144,000, around the new moon of December. It's the only reason I really picked that number outside of the significance of 144, of course. So 144, if you study the occult and the Bible, which is basically a book written by the occult, you're able to, see the significance behind that number. But anyways, let's move on to the analysis. I'm going to do a quick play-by-play. I'm going to look at the weekly close because that's coming in tomorrow night. And it's obvious, we are probably going to close our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th straight green weekly closure. Let's look at the 21 exponential. We're way above it. But now we can see something really nice in the charts. Let me turn off the moon phases because that's clouding things. And let me turn off the drawings and just get our EMAs. Beautiful. So what we can see is that this 13 moving average has crossed above the 21, and now this is in bullish posture for the EMAs. So we have the 13 above the 21, above the 34. Brilliant. Now let's go to our SMAs and see what's going on here. So we can see that our 8 simple moving average has actually started to cross the 34, and now it is looking to cross the 21 and the 13. That's very bullish. Again, also, all of our moving averages on the weekly are sloped to the upside. Beautiful. So I would say that any closure above 47,300 would be great. But again, I don't really care. I don't see this retesting the 21 EMA until mid-September. So let's just hold out for that and see how that goes. Other than that, there's really not a whole lot to say. Bitcoin is looking like it wants to continue to the upside. Again, this is a new daily candle that just opened. I know I'm filming this a little later in the day. And we closed yesterday's daily above the 8 simple moving average. That is a continuation sign. So we had two straight days of closing above the 8 simple, and we've made a microcycle, essentially a reversal candle, where we could see that the highs were sitting around 49,300. And as we've been making this video, you can see 1, 2, 3, 4 straight daily candles at that level. We've actually just broken above that. So what looks like a start of a short-term reversal, again, anything higher than the previous high in the cycle, which is sitting around 50,520 or so, that would be indicative of moving up until our next fib level, which is the 618, sitting at around 51,000. And I do believe we will see that by September 1st. We should at least see a touch of 51K. Now, if it happens, great. I really could care less at this point. I've started to de-risk my Bitcoin position. I'm fairly confident in the direction of how this is all going to go. I am so happy with how this has all gone because I did get all my Bitcoin at $7,000 and I've started to sell. I think my first sell order was somewhere around 49,000. And when I'm talking about selling or de-risking, I haven't sold more than like 17% of my Bitcoin position. So most of these plays that I'm de-risking, I'm only removing about 20 to 30% of my altcoins. And then I'm basically going to be using that money to reinvest. And Bitcoin is living its own kind of reality. So when I'm talking about the low coming in on September 16th, which you could see is marked in red right here, that doesn't necessarily mean that that's where the altcoins will stop. Honestly, Bitcoin pulling back could bring a substantially bloody reaction to these altcoins. So we can see things that are a little overheated, like Cardano, lose like 60% of its value, and that wouldn't be weird. So let's just measure from right here around 51,000 where this 618 comes in, and let's bring this down to around 41,000, and we're looking at essentially a 20% pullback. So around a 20% pullback, and we're retesting that 200 exponential moving average and the 55 simple moving average. And then also it would be where the 21 exponential is on the weekly chart, which is our key level. That's all kind of indicative of like a very healthy correction. It would even be a higher low, considering that the low in the structure at this time is sitting around 37,300. So at the end of the day, pullbacks are welcome. I'm very excited for any incoming pullback. I will be reinvesting heavily, but just remember that the low coming in for Bitcoin on the 16th doesn't mean that that's the low for your favorite altcoin. Cardano could continue to spill out all the way until late September, even into early October. And then again, I'm anticipating a very short-term pullback in early October, around October 2nd for Bitcoin. And what that will do is bring even more blood to the altcoins. Right around there, that whole transition between that September pullback and September 16th to October 2nd, that's going to be where Bitcoin dominance starts to essentially, reverse. And during that time of reversal, it's going to be a good buying opportunity for the alts, but you're going to wish you de-risked. And that's why I've been focused on de-risking lately. And I'm waiting out on certain coins till, September 1st, September 2nd, just to see the way it all goes. And the same thing to the upside. So if Bitcoin manages on September 2nd to hit its microcycle high, that doesn't mean that it's the end for the altcoin. The altcoins can maybe go up till September 3rd or September 4th. So please remember that I like to focus on Bitcoin primarily because it's the energy of the entire market, but it doesn't necessarily mean when I say that this exact date or this exact level will happen for Bitcoin, that it'll translate perfectly to your particular altcoins that you hold. There's many thousands of altcoins at this time. And I'm very particular when I talk about the chart I'm looking at. It's because I'm talking about the chart I'm looking at. So I just want people to be, I'm completely transparent there, letting you know. At the end of the day, this is just general, but I'm going off of the Bitcoin chart to give the overall energy of what's possible. Let's move on to XRP. XRP looking fantastic, holding that 13 exponential on the daily, looking like a very strong chart, bounced off the 21 exponential, had a nice big move to the upside, and now it looks like the 8 simple moving average is a little bit of a terror. It's holding it back. This could potentially become a W pattern, but it would be a weird W. Again, the neckline would be sitting somewhere around here, around $1.28, and then it would be any break of the previous high in the structure would essentially get you moving. If I was to look at this from a W pattern, I would like to look at it from the candle body closures of right over here, and then I would pull down to essentially right there. Let's get this out of log scale actually, because that's going to mess things up when you do your Ws. So let's go right there. That's the conservative pull. And then I'm going to bring it right there to that. And where's this sitting at? $1.44. That would be brilliant. So that would be the potential W breakout pattern that we would see for the XRP, let me show you how clean this W could look if I remove the indicators. And you could see that it is pretty clean. We have our W, and then we have a slightly higher higher V on the second V, but it's essentially a perfect double bottom. And that, we would have to wait for the 0.5 fib with a daily closure. I would personally like to be a little bit more conservative and wait for this closure right here around $1.26, and then you're going to start to see this W most likely come to fruition. And being at $1.44, I wouldn't even be surprised at $1.50 coming into play, because XRP is always a little more bullish than it needs to be. And that would be perfect to see before a bigger correction. Now, does it need to fulfill a $1.40 target? Absolutely not. This is just under the idea of Bitcoin breaking out to new highs. You're most likely going to see Ethereum and XRP break out to new highs. As for our incoming weekly close, there's really nothing bad to say about this. We are essentially in a noticeable downtrend at this time, but I'm not really worried at all, because it's just an altcoin, and that's what altcoins do. They're very volatile. What is kind of problematic over here? Oh, and by the way, speaking of W's, this can be one of the craziest W breakouts we'll ever see, because this neckline right here that we're getting, it's going to create essentially a move like this. Like, I could see this kind of shit happening, where like we boom up to 140, then pull back to the 236 like this, go a little lower, and then form our second V. So we have right here our first V, and then right here our second V. You see where I'm going with this? So this could be a crazy W, like fucking insane, you know? Like, if we measure this, this is a pretty nasty. I mean, if I go from around $1.40, excuse my language, I'm just getting excited because I'm a huge XRP trader. And whenever I see setups like this, I'm like salivating. So yeah, I'd be conservative, put around $1.35, and then we're looking at $1.16 on the breakout. And then I wouldn't even assume that's where it stops. It would go to the 1618. That would be massive, massive. Okay, that would be crazy to see. And I would assume that's possible before. That's very possible before the end of the year. It's very possible. So I don't want to get too ahead of myself. Again, on this weekly close, we are so much higher than the 21 exponential. So at this time, I could really care less. I highly doubt we're going to move down this much between now and then. We're not going to move down 25%. So it is what it is. It's kind of just chilling at this time. I assume Bitcoin dominance is reversing slightly. Yeah, it is in the process. So it's around 44. It's looking good. This is looking good. Not much to say about XRP on these closures. It'll be something more where we just need to wait it out and see how the Monday goes. What's Monday again on the date? It'll be the 30th, and that gives us 1, 2, 3, 4, about 4 days to expect bullish action. So, yep, this is looking fine. It's a Saturday again. It's kind of just chilling, very low volume at this time. And again, Bitcoin looking green right now. It will most likely keep it green for XRP. And I would assume that we're going to have a pretty nice daily close coming in for XRP tomorrow as well. Price targets to the upside. Again, anything breaking this previous high, I'm anticipating the 1618 fib. I would anticipate that due to Bitcoin having a breakout to the 1618 as well. And then downside targets would be anything closing below this 21. I would anticipate the 382 to still be a very strong support level. And then closures below the 382 fib, that's when things can get a little nasty, and you would basically move down one exponential moving average at a time, which you could see the 34 is sitting around $1. Now, I do believe we will see below $1 for XRP again by mid-September. When Bitcoin pulls back to around the $41,000, $42,000 level, I can see a pullback down to the 236 for XRP. That would be beautiful. That'd be an excellent buying opportunity, and it would be your last great buying opportunity forever. So let's just move on from there. You guys have heard my tone change with XRP, haven't you? You know, I'm very honest about XRP. That's always been my way here. That might be a lot of the reason why some people have gravitated towards my work. You know, the XRP calls, but not only that, the honesty in XRP. When I'm bullish on XRP, I'm bullish. And every time I've been really bullish so far, we've seen XRP do some pretty awesome things. When I flip bearish on XRP, that doesn't mean that I don't like the coin. It's just because I'm telling you the way that I'm anticipating price action and the way that the charts are looking. And at this time, I'm feeling great about XRP. It's been pulling off some nice higher lows in the structure time and time again, and this is the time where I'm just seeing it keeps repeating itself. We have these 40-day pump and dump cycles, and anytime you can make entries on the lower end before the pump, you're going to be able to make a nice swing trade. So let's move on to the highly anticipated Bitcoin Cash, which is like, I'm just going to say it. This is like the worst coin ever. Like, honestly, I'll show you. Let's just, again, no disrespect. I'm just an analyst. I'm not trying to like poop on anyone's coin here. But let's just look at this, okay? We have the March crash, where everything was a beautiful buying opportunity. Now let's look at what we're working with today. So I'm going to go from the absolute wick bottom. This coin is up. This coin is up 380% from the March crash. Okay. Now let's go to Bitcoin. Let's just have a little fun. Yeah, I'm not even going to go all the way down. I'm going to go to $5,000. Not even the wick low. 880%. And this is like the biggest coin. This is all the liquidity in the space, essentially. Do we need to say anything else more? Is this the end of the conversation? Like, what about Bitcoin Cash is enticing to people? That's kind of what I want to know. I'm really curious. And again, I'm just saying this because I've been asked about this coin since day one of doing Red Pill episodes. And we're on Red Pill episode number 22. And I have so much interest in this project. And I just want to know why. I just want to know why anyone is looking at this. And the only thing about this that is sensible is it hasn't went into price discovery. So look at its previous all-time high. It's sitting at 4,000. Let's just take from here the cluster of the blow off top of the previous bull run, sitting around $3,000. This is like the worst performing coin ever, like in crypto history. Can anyone name a worse coin than this? I just really don't. Again, I don't like to trash stuff, but I just don't get it. I'm not really sure what is so exciting about a coin that's only up about 400% from its top, and it barely has made a 10x on its blow off. Its initial blow off of and this is a blow off top. This isn't what Bitcoin did, where it traded in a crown formation Wyckoff distribution pattern on the micro scale. Bitcoin traded at around 50 to 60,000 for like 100 days. This thing barely traded at its levels for like a week. This is a pump and dump. So I'm just really interested. Let's look at how much it's drowned from this blow off. 76%. Mamma mia. Wow, this thing is a shit coin. So, I mean, I just don't like, I'll do the analysis just for fun. We have a little bit of a W here. It looks like it fulfilled the W. So we'll take from the neckline and we'll measure down to the wick bottom. And we're looking at around W is fulfilled. And now it's making a little short-term W, but I wouldn't really count this one because we have the second V is a lower low than the previous one. Let's pull some fibs and just see what's going on here. I wouldn't invest $1 in this coin. Okay, so it's kind of trading around the 236. Again, the 236 is typically a level of support. Let's pull this to the wick high and see what we're getting. Yeah, I'm just going to be more conservative and I'm going to pull it right down to the first wick. That's typically a liquidity event here on the second one. The reason I'm calling it a liquidity event because it's the high in the structure, but it's also a huge red candle that's down 20%. So I don't like to count those on my fib pulls. So if anyone's ever wondering when I'm pulling fibs, like why isn't he picking the other one? Because this is a massive liquidity event where you see a microcycle high followed by the same daily candle was minus 20.56%. That's manipulation. That's massive manipulation. So I'm going to go with the more conservative pull. And you can see this is an actual beautiful double bottom. The only time this would have made sense to invest in is down at these levels. This thing is probably going to have another pull. Like obviously it could maybe move up to around 750 or maybe 770 on September 1st, September 2nd, maybe. And then when it pulls back, it's probably going to break through the 236 fib, and it's probably going to come back to this like 500 area again. I mean, it will probably retest this previous resistance level, which is right here at around $530. That might be a good opportunity, but like, what are we really investing in here? Like, we're investing in a poor performing coin. I mean, maybe this thing could get to this 2618. I still wouldn't even believe it. If this thing does a 10x from here, I would be shocked. Where is the fib matchup? Okay, so sitting between the 2618 and the 3618 is around the previous all-time high. This previous all-time high was a hypodermic needle syringe top. Okay, so like you can't really even count that. This area right here sitting between the 1618, the 2618, that's kind of like the best I see this shit doing. Maybe the 3618 if it's lucky. In an alt season, I don't think retail is going to FOMO into this coin. Retail doesn't care about this coin. Retail will focus on the Cardanos, like the more spec DAG constellation. It'll focus on H bar maybe, but the money's going to move into the projects that these Bitcoin like derivatives like Satoshi Vision and all this Bitcoin Gold, all that stuff is like highly retail is just not interested. So when it comes to alt season, you kind of want to get into the FOMO projects before they become FOMO projects. And this coin is most likely not going to perform. So I wouldn't personally be too worried about what's going on with this particular one. I'm going to move on just because it's only negative things I have to say about it. It's not a good performing coin from the March crash to where it's currently at. It had a parabolic needle top, huge 70% pullback. It's barely trading above the 236 in the current fractal. It just has no life to it, and I do not see retail FOMOing into this, so I would pass personally. Let's move on to Monero. Monero is an interesting one. Yeah, again, it's kind of doing this cup and handle thing. Not really, though. This big bowl formation is sort of an interesting thing. Let's see what its performance has been like. Yeah, like this is kind of interesting. It's up 10x from the previous March crash. That's about as high as Bitcoin Cash went from the absolute lows to the top. So there's something a little bit more interesting here. But I'm not huge on these privacy coins. I don't really believe in them. I don't believe if it's on the internet that it's private. That just kind of doesn't make much sense to me. Again, it's kind of like a counterintuitive to what most people would expect me to say. But I do not believe that privacy coins are private. I do not believe blockchain technology has any privacy whatsoever. It was legitimately designed to be tracked and traced. So I would never get into this project because of like any fundamentals or use case. In regards to being able to play the volatility, I would still see bigger and better opportunities out there. Again, this chart kind of looks fine. It's a little bit awkward of a chart, just to be completely honest. Let's pull some fibs and see what we're getting. This might have been a real high. But again, there's just so much volatility in these coins. It's trading around the 382, which is a lot stronger than the 236. We do see continual higher lows in the structure. That's good. It is a channel to the upside. I'm surprised it hasn't started approaching this golden pocket area. That's definitely a sign of there's not a lot of interest in this. Not nearly as much interest as some of the other coins. Again, this is one of those OG coins, and I do not see retail FOMOing into this in the next alt season. So what we need to remember is that the next big parabolic run-up that we're going to get is going to be very similar to the Elon pump, to like when the Shiba shitcoin pump happened. During that time, it was like monkeys playing darts. You could have just thrown money at any coin and it would have done really well. Now, I do believe that this next alt season that's going to come algorithmically will bring gains to all the projects. Like, I don't think there'll be any projects that won't gain at least 500% to the upside from wherever the lows come in the next couple months. But with that being said, I don't see projects like Monero to have as much FOMO as like a project like Pirate Chain. So if you're looking into privacy coins to like make gains, I would be way more inclined to like getting into Pirate Chain on a huge pullback, if whatever pullback we get, than Monero. That's just my position. Again, I believe they're both kind of shit coins. They have no use case, no fundamentals. I do not believe in privacy on the blockchain. I don't believe it exists. It's just a way of hackers being able to control shit and then making the consumer, the retail, feel like they're getting privacy, but it's nonsense. Study the way VPNs work. In reality, you ain't getting out of anywhere. Like there are no secrets on the internet. So don't think that Monero and these privacy coins are doing anything special. They're not. It's just speculative. It's all just going up and down in price because Bitcoin goes up and down in price. Period. End of story. So I wouldn't personally be too interested in this. There's definitely possibilities for this to do decent. I do see this at least getting to the 2618, 3618 for sure. Can it make its way to the 4236? Possible, but I'd rather bet on other projects like VeChain. That's one that I'm way more bullish on. HBAR for sure. And like I said, if you're trying to get into privacy coins just because you have some inclination to privacy coins, I'd be more fascinated with the Pirate Chain project. Again, just because I believe that will have more retail FOMO. And the retail FOMO is what you're here to be a part of. An alt season is just a massive speculative bubble that occurs from a bunch of unsophisticated investors jumping into the train at the worst time, while you've already been sitting on the train for a while and you're getting ready to get off of it, right? So you always want to be looking at the projects that are the most relevant, the ones that are the most like meme like. And Monero is old news, so again, it's sort of like Bitcoin Cash. It's interesting that I'm starting this episode with these particularly two coins, and I hope to never cover them again. I've already covered Monero several times, and I've covered Bitcoin Cash several times. Both I'm not interested in. So let's move on to Harmony One. And also, yeah, like for people who are brand new, who've never watched a Red Pill episode before, remember, it's called the Red Pill episode. So there's going to be things that are uncomfortable to hear, but it's just me handing out the red pill. And more importantly, if I don't have any interest in a project, that doesn't mean that I should diminish your interest in that particular project. I am just feeling out what I'm feeling out because this is how I'm perceiving it. But if you think I'm wrong and you think privacy coins are going to save the world or whatever, by all means, you could feel that. I could care less. So I'm just letting you know, like, this is the Red Pill episode. This is the way it works. I look at the chart. I look at the previous history. I determine based off of relevance, and I'm in the now. I'm running a company, a business, doing cryptocurrency at the highest level, so I'm always keeping up on what's more relevant. And we need to kind of be able to push forward on what is the future and what is the focus and what will the FOMO coins be, because that's where the most money will be injected, and you want to be part of that transfer. There's a crazy difference between a 5x and a 15x. That's the difference. So if I could get people focused on the 15x coins, there you go. Now, Harmony One has already done an insane move to the upside. So this is one of those coins where you sometimes have to wonder, is this going to go any higher? Like, can it? Yes, it can. So let's move these fibs and see what's going on here. Let me pull that back to the not red liquidity event. Wow, this is a very solid W, and it looks like it back tested already. It's probably fulfilled. It almost made it up to the 0.5. This is also interesting. Again, these coins that have already moved up such a substantial amount, like, look at this. This is madness. So it's already gone up 5,000% since its previous range. That's a lot, you know? So like when this thing's going to be making price discovery, you're not going to be anticipating anything much higher than the 4236, which is sitting around 80 to 90 cents. Still, that's a 9x from here. So that's a pretty big move. But we just got to see, like, some of these coins had massive FOMO rallies already, and that's such a short amount of time to be making that much gains. You know, to go up 5,000% under 3 calendar months is very That's not sustainable. Let's look at some of the other things that are going on, though. MACD's crossed bearish on the daily. About to cross bearish, I believe, on the 2-day. Probably in a couple of days. It's flattening out on the 3-day. 5 days looking all right. Let's see the weekly chart. This is probably going to make a big W as well. So it's going to look something like this. Like that. It's probably going to make another big W. And then if I take it off of logarithmic and I pull it like that, it's probably going to move past the golden pocket. Not price discovery just yet. And then it'll move up to the 888 around 20 cents. It'll probably get rejected off there, come back down into the golden pocket a little bit, and then it will go parabolic. So that'll be an interesting time frame. I am actually interested in this project. I do see merit in investing in Harmony One. It was one of those that I've actually given shout outs to and technical analysis in the Discord back in the early days, probably back in April, May. And it's actually been an interesting one. But I would just look for the downside on the 236 fib sitting around 0.87 cents. And if we're going to get a little push up into early September, I would at least probably expect a double top around 12 cents. So basically a retest of the previous highs in the structure, or maybe even a little chop up to the 0.5 fib and then a correction after that. So look to the double top around 12 cents into 13 cents. Let's move on to Engine. Again, another one of these ridiculous. So from March crash to where we're at now, we're sitting around 5,000% gains. Let's see what's going on with this shit. Oh, man. It's definitely had a pullback, though. Okay, it's trading around the 382, holding support seemingly in that area. Again, I would be anticipating a pullback to the 236 most likely, and if we get any moves up, we're looking at the 0.5 fib sitting around 240. Are you starting to see how similar all these charts look, guys? Like, this shit is so similar. We have W followed by the breakout. We have the confirmation of the W getting to its measured move, pullbacks that are looking to retest previous resistance levels, then coming up to the 382, and we're most likely going to push up to the 0.5 fib with any bullish price action moving into early September, then corrections into the 236. That's what I just see happening. I mean, we might even have a little bit of a boring red pill episode next week. Let me see what next week is. Okay, I'm probably going to hold off on the red pill episode till the 5th, so the next Sunday. I'm not going to plan on that 100%. Oh shit, that's 2 days before Rosh Hashanah. Wow. So the next Red Pill episode is going to be the 23rd. Remember Bitcoin and Chaldean and Gematria. Bitcoin equals the 23. Oh man, it's such a crazy time, right? Such a crazy time. I'll just show you that real quick. If my memory serves me right. 23. Yeah, boy. This is going to be interesting. Next Red Pill episode, number 23. And remember, we're on the Red Pill episode number 22 right now, and the next Shemitah is in the year 5782, which gives you the 22. So the next Hebrew year, which is coming up in a couple of weeks, will be the transition into the 5782nd Hebrew year, which gives us the 22. So that's why I'm saying, guys, we're moving into the 22nd year of the 21st century, the 2022. And we have the 5782 year in the same time frame, giving us the 22, which is the Shemitah year. This is going to be big, and we're on the 22nd Red Pill episode. It's all in harmony. It's amazing. It would have been even crazier if our 22nd episode was next week. All right, so yeah, Engine's looking pretty much similar to all the other coins. This is a relevant coin. So talking about the future, talking about what's going to, this is all about gaming. This is going to do well, man. I definitely see this going up to the 4236. It's gone crazy. It's already gone up 5,000%. But this is the type of shit that's going to get the FOMO. Once it starts getting around $4, it's going to FOMO real fast. And, so any pullbacks on coins like Engine or Harmony One, I would be interested in. little, what I call venture capital positions. So let me clear up what that means. So any entries that I typically make, I do about 15 to 25 investments. And then while I'm doing that, I'm looking to fulfill about a 2% position out of my entire portfolio. That 2% to 3% position, maybe, is just a venture capital bag. You know, I don't plan on doing 5% engine. Nah, it's not really my interest. I save that kind of stuff for my most enticing plays, which at this time I'm really bullish on T-Fuel and VeChain and all the other coins I've told you guys about. Let's move on to Algorand. Now, this is one of those coins that I feel a little bit more confident in. Why? Because look at this. We had this bull breakout trading up at these $1 levels for a little bit of time. Like, this wasn't just a short amount of time. This is about 100 days of trading at these higher levels. It is not a blow off top. Then look at this. The retest came right back down to the previous high in the structure of August. That's a beautiful retest. Coming back to basically retest the golden pocket from the previous fractal. And I bet you this was all around the 888 fib. Let me just check that so I'm not talking out of nowhere. 0.888. My throat's starting to hurt, so I'm gonna have to wrap this up soon. You guys are draining me. So yeah, you see that right there? Boom, the 888 fib. It got all those 3 retests. So that's a beautiful bounce. Now let's pull another fib. I'm gonna get rid of this, and I'm actually gonna pull another fib from this area right here down to that low. And this did almost hit the 0.5 fib on its recent run up. So that's great. That's showing some pretty nice strength, because after that, it came right back down to the 236 area. This 236, basically anything under $1 Algorand is an investment opportunity. You know, I know this is one of those ISO 20022, whatever the hell coins. You guys probably know my position on that shit. I think that's a psyop. It's nonsense. These coins go up and down because of Bitcoin. We're about to go into Shemitah. This coin in particular is probably going to lose 85 to 90% of its value after its parabolic blow off top that it has. It just is what it is. There's no thing that will get it through this Shemitah unscathed besides the dollar. The dollar will be the only thing that will be doing well, probably in 2022. And with that being said, this is one of those coins, though, that I trust with my money. I would invest in this on any pullbacks before the end of this bull run comes to fruition. This is a very solid coin to be positioned in before the alt season. Now, it's pretty much trading around that $1 level at this time. I wouldn't feel weird getting in entries anywhere around this 236. It could come down to 80-something cents again. It looks like this is actually sort of following XRP a little bit, the XRP price action. Let's see what this time frame, I think it was already 100 days. I think I tracked that. Now I want to see the time frame. Okay, so right there, and then let's go from there over to where we are today, and it's about the same amount of time. So this is going to restart a structure soon. This coin looks like it's on a 100-day cycle. Let's check right here and let's see. That's a little bit longer of a cycle. It's interesting. I would love to look into that more because I haven't done much on this coin. 175 days. Looking at 170 days. Now let's go from here down to the lows. Oh shit. Yeah, that last low was around 170 days. So that might be it. Algorand might be on a 170-day cycle. So let's go from that low right there and see what 170 days is. Oh my God, right there, January 6th. That is perfect. That is exactly around the time where XRP hit the all-time high in 2018, I believe. I think it was January 7th. So there it is, man. This is crazy. Like, this coin, after all, is called Algorand, like algorithm, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's on that 70. Let's just see. If we get a 17, holy shit. Oh man, look at that full reduction, 17 right away. Oh man, and it has the 144 and the 70. Holy shit. Why haven't I decoded this thing? Oh, I hate you guys. Okay, I'm going to invest in this thing. This has the same exact ciphers as Bitcoin plus the 144. So we have the 72, 36, 45 in the same positions. 72, 36, 45. But then Algorand has that 144, like I was saying, with the Bitcoin hitting 144,000 at the end of the year, plus Bitcoin since its last halving last May is now 144 blocks mined per day. This is perfect. Algo with the 17, and it's on those 170-day cycles. Crazy. And it has that 14. That's awesome. Anything with that 14 and 15 comes back to XRP. So it's just been, wow. Why didn't I think about this? It's probably going to hit the all-time high on December 7th. That's it. Oh, man, because that's the 1/7 date. All right. Well, I should decode this. I kind of don't want to. Wow, that's also crazy because we're at 1 hour and 5 minutes into this Red Pill episode, and Algorand is trading at $1.05. How insane is the code, right? Like, sometimes when I talk with Logan over at Decode Your Reality, I'm just like, how does this work? The code is mind-blowing. But anyways, yeah, you could probably tell my feelings on this coin now. That's all it really takes sometimes for me. Let's move on to Digibyte. We're going to run through this pretty quickly. So Digibyte is a coin that I've personally invested in. This chart looks like shit. So I'm going to just come out and say, like, this chart looks really, really bad. But what I'm interested in is how it did have a previous bull run. So there's chart history. Now, let's look at something back here, and I think this is really cool, and it's a reason why I've invested in this, by the way. So we have a microcycle top, which came in June. Now let's go over to here, and you can see that we actually got a top here into May, and then followed by an additional pump that came in around January 7th. So let's just look at the amount of gains that we got going up, an additional 100% from the top. But let's look at the pullback. Oh, I hate the way that this is doing this. So it's around 88% pullback. Let's look at what we got here. Around 82% pullback. Again, this chart looks like shit. Terrible looking chart, but we're down 82%. And then let's look at the gains, and we have fibs pulled to look at the gains. So it went up to some random, like, arbitrary level, a little bit below the 2618. We're looking at about 11% down from the 2618. So let's look at where the 2618 is here, which is a massive move, by the way. And if we went down around 12%, we're sitting at around 36. So that would be interesting for this coin to even do that, because that's a pretty nice gain. Now, I believe I did decode this and I had numbers. I'm not sure where I put those numbers at, but this is one of those projects that it's relevant in a weird way. It's like, I believe there's a couple of influencers out there, maybe that guy Digital Dave, which, by the way, I don't watch that guy's videos, but I respect him. Like, he has picked some pretty amazing plays like Theta and T-Fuel and Digibyte. I remembered him discussing at low levels. So congrats to him, respect to him as a content creator and somebody who's called out some good ones. But for the most part, I believe it's only relevant because of those particular influencers that are out there pushing this coin. Besides that, it's not really a retail. Retail doesn't really care. And what I'm interested in with Digibyte is, since doing my decode, there seems to be some very close ties to the occult, and the creator of this coin in particular being tied to the occult. So I'm interested in that, and I don't have, I believe, more than like a 1.5% position in this. So I have a very small venture capital position in it, but the chart is bad. Like, I just got to admit, bad chart, bad performance. It's not even back at the 236 barely. Just got to call it how I see it, So with this coin, if it can't make it up to that 382 fib before the end of the month, it's probably going to have a nasty pullback and what would be considered a spring action in Wyckoff. So we have right here is our automatic reaction, automatic rally, and then we have potential supply tests or even a spring, which could look something like this. And again, like, this could get ugly, but it could go here down to like 2 cents again. And the reason why that's possible is that's the previous area right here. So if you just pause where I'm at, that's the previous bottom. and this would be called a spring in Wyckoff. So I will not be investing in this project until I see how the structure happens moving forward. But for the most part, ugly chart. Not one of those coins I think is super relevant anymore. I do not think it will have that FOMO run that some other coins will have, like Matic or VeChain or Chainlink or Theta or even Stellar Lumens, or like, it's not going to have that FOMO run that, and if you look back to the previous bull run, kind of proves that it didn't even make it up to the 2618 going from the second fractal. So I'm interested in where this can go. I do know I had a decode on it. I already forgot where I should have like marked a price level. I did like 4 separate decodes, and I'm invested in other projects way more heavily than this one. So of course I don't keep up with this that often with such a small position, but I will be looking to make entries if I see it returning back to the previous lows. Cause I think 3 cents, even if it's only going to move back up to the 1618 between the 1618 and the 236, that's a 10x. So I would be totally fine with a 10 to 12x on a project, given it's not going to make it all the way up to the 4236, which is kind of what you anticipate. Now, if it goes higher, fantastic. Then a 2% position in a play would look really beautiful. Let's move on to the final one before this episode becomes forever. It's going to do Crypto.com coin. I actually had a fun time doing this episode this week, so I hope you guys did too. I believe we had a more unique episode than usual. Okay, so this coin has made it up to the 0.5 fib. This is I have a very tiny position in this, so I'm not super interested. Let's look it up. Oh, by the way, this day right here that happened, that was total bullshit. That I remember this day. They locked everyone out. They sent this coin to the moon in like a single day. Look at that, 62% in a single day, and then the next day it was down 31%, pretty much right back down. That was a really messed up day, and that was where I personally gave up on this project, and I will never invest a single dollar in it. Any company that did what they just did back there, trash. And I remember when they were going, this was one of the best coins during the COVID crash in regards to like speculative altcoins. This coin did really, really well. Like I remember it doing really well up until the summertime. And then I remember they changed their rewards program, and then it just had a massive pullback, like massive. And then I thought to myself, that's really interesting that we're getting this type of structure. And I didn't really care because I had a small position in it. But then when this happened, this literal like just melt to the upside, followed by this day where they were locking everyone out of using their account, I was like, nah, dude, fuck this company. Trash exchange. I still use the exchange, and I've personally not had huge issues with it. But if I was a huge CRO holder and I couldn't get out of the project because of what was going on, I would have been really mad. And I don't like stuff like that. So I try to stay away. I know there's horror stories with with Coinbase and with Binance, but I've personally not went through it. And usually those companies are very good at telling you in advance when they have maintenance days. Crypto.com just didn't do that, and they rarely do that. Whenever they have maintenance days, it's very last minute. And it's just like shady. So anyways, this coin has actually performed decently because it's almost made it up to the 0.5 fib. Now, I do suspect that there's opportunity for this to move up a little bit higher to the 0.5 fib, but most likely not much higher than that. Again, like the other altcoins we went over. And then retests down to the 2618 would be very healthy. Even as low as this wick right here, sitting around 9 cents, let's just call it 10 cents. That'd be a decent entry point. So anything around the 236 down to that wick around 10 cents, that would be pretty nice. And we're crossed bearish on daily MACD. 2-day looks like it's getting close. So this looks pretty similar to other charts that we've looked at. Now, this is hard to really tell from a Wyckoff perspective what's going on here because it's just a big roller coaster ride of nonsense. This chart looks like crap in regards to the macro time frame, but on the micro and the short term, it's actually all right. We have this double top M pattern breakdown. It looks like it lost about 60-something% of its value, so not nearly as much losses as some of the other coins. And this W breakout that we had looks very, very nice because this second V is higher than the first V. It's actually much higher. So this is a beautiful uptrend. On a micro scale, this actually looks really nice. Again, I am very straightforward. So I do not find this to be an ugly chart in the short term. And I do anticipate it could probably come down to the 236. If it holds that 236, that would make the chart look even better. And then, of course, that would be your final entries, something like this. If it wants to move up into early September and then a backup phase. That's it. So we went over so many coins in this episode, lots of red pills, lots of philosophy, lots of interesting things to consider. Again, I appreciate all the new people that have joined. We are transitioning into the end of the month, which means a new month starts on Patreon, which means we will have more wolves joining us in the start of September. I am so excited to have so many people on board because it seems to be based off the emails and the reactions that I've been getting to my work that a lot of people have made money over August. I've been reading some emails of people mentioning that they've made $20,000 to $30,000 off of the analysis that I've shared. That right there, like, almost brings tears to my eyes. You know, like, I heard this one guy emailed me saying that he was a single father having some issues with money, and he was able to buy a house for him and his daughter. And he has a son on the way, and like he's just not doing well financially. And he started following my work back in late June. And yeah, it's just pretty amazing to hear these stories. So I'm really grateful for everyone. I'm really grateful for everyone being able to swallow these red pills. I know some of the times where I'm very direct, but it's just because I love you all and I'm trying to help. And in order to be the mentor and teacher that I am, it's important that I speak my truths. And at the end of the day, I try to be extremely transparent. If I say something that goes against your thought process, I'm completely fine with that. I hope you are completely fine with that. And at the end of the day, whatever I say that's negative or positive about these coins is just me talking about intangible coins. Maybe I don't have the best projects that I've selected, but at the end of the day, I'm doing my own thing, and I hope that you could do your own thing too. Really, what this is all about is learning technical analysis and how to combine Gematria Numerology and Astrology into understanding what's going on with these charts and what's going on with this cryptocurrency asset class. We don't have to copy each other's portfolios. We don't have to believe in everything 100% in harmony. This is an incredibly massive technology that will start to take over the world, as it already has shown to. And we are kind of in that final retail FOMO bull run. Our next bull run that we'll get, which I do believe will be in 4 years, it will just have diminishing returns, and it will have even more cults, more craziness, more emotions. That will never change. That is part of the human experience. But we will be here. And I believe that we will be together for the next 4-year cycle and the next 4-year cycle after that. And I'm so excited to have so many people joining this family, and we're going to thrive together because we are able to see what's going on from a perspective that is way deeper than the crazy emotional thumbnails and clickbait nonsense. We are in this to change our lives so that we can start to change the lives of our communities and our future families. And that's what my purpose is. That's what my goals are. I am not here to buy a stupid fucking Lamborghini and Louis Vuitton handbags and nonsense like that. I am looking to convert this wealth into land and property and agricultural purposes and, you know, logistics, maybe even airports, like whatever I can do with my money to be able to make a harmonious future during the chaos. Because we could all agree here that we've watched the world become quite dark quite quick, and it doesn't seem to be changing for the masses. The masses are completely okay with the blue pill garbage that they are being just presented. Nobody's being force-fed anything in this matrix. They just love the taste of fear being injected into the main vein. That is what the average person loves. They love fear, they love drama, and they love having their freedom confiscated from them. We are a different breed. That's why I like to associate with the wolf. We are a bunch of individual lone wolves who've come together to find that we had a pack. We just remembered who our pack members were, and here we are. So I'm going to end on that note. I appreciate all of you. Enjoy the rest of your weekend in the Matrix. Much love.